We are broadcasting live from downtown Youngstown, Ohio, and this is the 330 Sports Show. Today is Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. It is officially the first day of fall. My name is Justin Coffin, and we are brought to you by Youngstown Studios and produced by Joe Danier. We have so much to talk about on today's show. We're going to bring on our guest in a little while. I'll introduce her. But before we do that, and a couple moments in history, let's have a word from our sponsor, Coca's Pizza.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
Coca for their support. I'm again going to bring in our guest in just a little bit, but I want to remind you today, September 22nd, today is National Voter Registration Day, and now more than ever, it's important to get out there and vote. So if you are not registered to vote, get out there and do that today. I also, looking back in history, in 2007, I'm going to show you the sports clip coming up here. So going back to 2007 and today in history.
If anybody hasn't read this article, I don't read it. This was brought to me by a mother of children. I think this is worth reading. Let me tell you why I want to talk about this article. 3/4 of this is inaccurate. It's fiction. And this article embarrasses me, but you didn't have that. But someday you will. And when your child comes home, you'll understand. If you want to go after an athlete, one of my athletes, you go after one that doesn't do the right things. You don't downgrade him because he does everything right and may not play as well on Saturday, and you let us make that decision. That's why I don't read the newspaper, because it's garbage, and the editor that let it come out is garbage. Attacking an amateur athlete for doing everything right. And then you want to write articles about guys that don't do things right and downgrade them, the ones that do make plays. Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me or our coaches. Don't write about a kid that does everything right, that's heart's broken, and then say that the coaches said he was scared. That ain't true. And then to say that we made that decision because Donovan Woods, because he threatened to transfer, that's not true. So get your facts straight. And I hope someday you have a child and somebody downgrades them and belittles them, and you have to look them in the eye and say, you know what, it's okay. They're supposed to be mature adults, but they're really not. Who's the kid here? Who's the kid here? Are you kidding me? That's all I got to say. Makes me want to puke.
All right. So I thought that had to be brought back in time. I'm actually 39 years old, and we'll probably have that playing on a loop next year when I turn 40. So I'm going to introduce our guest today. Obviously, this is a very, very special person to me. But I want to give you a little bit about her, not only her personal background, but I want to give her a little sports credibility background here. So she has been to many Major League Baseball games, including Wrigley Field and Fenway Park. She's been to a ton of NBA games. We were once season ticket holders at the Cavs, as well as many playoff games. We've been to the NBA Finals. She has been to several golf tournaments, and I think even has her name in at the Masters to get tickets in the near future.
Super.
She has been to college football games in 9 different states: Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, Missouri, Nebraska, and Illinois, Tennessee, and Texas, to name a few. She's been to many NFL games, including trips to Lambeau Field in Green Bay and as well as Super Bowl 46. I personally have sat with her in a Las Vegas sports book several times, and that's always if you've never done that, that's something you need to experience in your life, especially on a college football Saturday or an NFL Sunday or March Madness. She has appeared, this is a funny story, she's appeared on College Game Day in 2006 in Austin, Texas for the Ohio State-Texas game. I went with her on that trip, and I was out on 5th Street in Austin, Texas till about 3:30 in the morning, and I think we had to be up at 5:30 for game day, so I was a little too hungover to make it, but she took my place. And I believe she has several sports crushes currently with, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Patrick Mahomes, Jimmy Butler, and John Gruden. So those are the 3 that I can think of. I get, I think, a little bit of my sarcastic and funny side from her, and obviously my love of sports from her. She has pet peeves. We have mutual pet peeves, like, for example, people standing up on an airplane when it just lands. But, I remember watching George Carlin at a fairly young age with her. Just good stuff. But on a serious side, she's seriously one of the most generous people you will ever meet in your life. She's very selfless, takes care of others, and that's just her nature. Last year, she was named the Boardman Rotary Citizen of the Year. She is also a breast cancer survivor, all while raising myself and my sister and working 2 jobs as a single parent. Her and I both have jumped out of an airplane. We've skydived from 12,500 feet. And, she has founded, you're going to see, if you're watching this live, you're going to see Project MKC on my shirt and MKC on my hat. She is the founder of Making Kids Count, which is now called Project MKC. She founded that back in 2010, and I'm going to have her tell you about that in a couple minutes. But above everything else, like I said, this is my mom. She's a grandma to my daughter Landry and to my nieces Harper and Palmer. So with that said, I'd like to bring on my mom, Jenny Kennedy. Hi, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't you let's just start with Project MKC.
Okay.
And we'll get into sports and plenty of that. So with Project MKC, you started that in 2010. For people listening or watching that maybe know a little bit about it or don't know a lot about it, why don't you tell us what that is?
Okay. Well, I'll first go back to how it was even conceived. Driving in the car with Scott, my husband, I think we were going to Charlotte for a visit, and I had some magazines that I was reading in the car. Well, I had worked in customer service between Bike Nash Bar and four-wheel drive for 20 years, 10 years at each place. I still wanted to work. I just didn't want to do customer service that much anymore. So I was trying to think of something else that would interest me, and I read an article in a Woman's World magazine, and I wish I still had the article, but it was talking about a woman that was doing birthday parties in shelters, and it sounded like, that would be something that I would like to do. So talked to Shelly, my daughter, and Jana, my daughter-in-law, and showed them the article, asked them if they thought that was something we might be able to do, because they both had, one had a law degree, one had a business degree, and I had no degree, so I wasn't sure the business aspect of anything. And from there, that's how we got started with Making Kids Count. And that's what we started doing, was birthday parties at the Beatitude House, which, is great, doing those once a month for all the other kids. Just seemed like after that, you need to find more, because that's not enough.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and that's really how it got started.
Absolutely. And I was lucky enough during the pandemic. I had obviously a little bit more free time, and I had considered getting out of the classroom and just talking through family. And I realized that this company was growing so big, and you had expressed to me, hey, if you're interested, I now can say we, because I'm a part of the team, and because of how big this organization has become. So just talking with Jana and Shelly and Colleen, it sounds like over 600,000 diapers have been distributed since the pandemic.
Since the pandemic. And it happens to be National Diaper Awareness Week as well. So if anyone wants to donate to the cause, you can go to projectmkc.org. I believe there's a wish list up on Amazon as well, on the Facebook page, that you can click on and purchase diapers that way, because, we're really not having a lot of volunteer time in, but people still like to give. They still like to give back, and that would be a great way to help out. And
something else that's really special about this organization is every single dollar, whether you can make a small donation, a medium, or a large donation, whatever it might be, whether it's diapers or money, every single thing brought in goes directly to programming. There's no overhead costs for rent or utilities or salaries or things like that. So it's that's something really special.
100% of anything you give, whether it, obviously if you're giving a donation of diapers, but any financial contribution goes directly to our program. So nobody has to worry about it going to overhead costs or payroll or anything like that. It goes directly to our, our programs.
Very good. And Project MKC has 55 partner agencies and distributes roughly 55,000 diapers a month. And I believe they've exceeded over 2 million diapers, and, getting closer to the 3 million mark since
and now with you starting, we can probably pick up some more partner agencies, because honestly, anything that I've ever done at the office is kind of like what any volunteer would do when they come in. I'll repackage diapers, I'll count clothes, I'll run errands, whatever, but I don't do any of the things involving the partner agencies. And a lot of the things that Project MKC has become super physical, and I love doing the physical work. It's just sometimes a little too much. So I'm watching Harper and Palmer and Landry now during the week, which brings me so much joy. And I can just go into, MKC when I feel like it.
That's great.
I trust that all you guys are doing great work there, and I'm super proud of everyone, and so happy you're there now.
Very good. And just to put a cap on this, but a few more special programs that we do are Hope Totes that go to Akron Children's Hospital for children that have been diagnosed with cancer.
And we just did one now for a friend of mine's little great nephew.
Okay.
That's on his second bout. He's 4 years old. He's on his second bout of both rare cancers. So anything we can do in a Hope Tote is, I guess, not what they want or what they need, but what they want. And it gives them something to occupy their time while they're in the hospital.
That's great. And something I was just actually working on this morning are comfort kits, which there's 8 children's services agency that we work with in Ohio. And I believe we distribute 800 to 1,000, which, when you're putting these duffel bags, which are so awesome, and they're filled with all this great stuff, it makes you feel good, but it's also a little bit sad knowing that, these bags are going to kids that were just placed in foster care. But I think that is something the kids are excited about when they get, so you try to put, a smile on a kid's face
Just
in
having
a tough
them
situation.
having something that they can consider their own and take that bag with them. And
Because a lot of times these kids don't even
they
have clothes
nothing.
or anything.
They may be taken out of their homes in the middle of the night with nothing. So yeah, they get to have something nice. Always have a no-sew blanket, homemade blanket in with them, and then age-appropriate, gender-appropriate items to go along with that.
So great. And those are the specific programs that we focus on, but there are several other ones. And again, like she said, please visit projectmkc.org. If you would like to make a donation, that would be great. If not, you can always check out the website and see what we do, or call for more information, 330-758-3434, and they're located on Southern Boulevard in Boardman. All right, so let's switch topics to a little bit of sports.
Okay.
Actually, a lot of sports. There's a lot to cover today, but let's talk about, first of all, some of our mutual experiences. I've had so many great opportunities of attending so many different awesome, wonderful events, whether it's games, galas, whatever it might be. But, you've been a part of a lot of those. So like I mentioned earlier in your intro, we had went skydiving, and I believe it was about 5 years ago in Canton, and from, I believe it was 12,500 feet. So
that was so much fun. I had wanted to do that for so long, and I remember Scott and Jana being in the room with us while we were watching the video that explains, what's going to be happening, and they have to give you disclaimers on this and possible death. And and all you and I did was crack up, and all Scott and Jana did was like, and I know Scott, I think it was Scott, would not even sign my paper. I think somebody else had to sign the paper for me,
basically a liability note saying, hey,
we didn't
something
die.
bad happens.
We survived.
Yeah. But that's an awesome, that was such a great experience. And you actually were the one that asked me to go, not vice versa.
Yeah, that was fun.
Something, unfortunately, we weren't able to go to this year because of COVID-19 was the Dick Vitale Gala, which is in Sarasota, Florida every year. That's usually I believe the second weekend in May. But that's something
that's always been a blast.
And I mean, to me, more than any game, that's probably the most fun experience of the year. It's just such a great weekend. I
think it's awesome. Like, I don't have like celebrity crushes. I don't know if that's the good word, a good word to use or not, but I mean,
you don't get starstruck by celebrities.
Not really, but any sports person.
Yeah.
And I keep my eye out the whole time I'm at that gala. And for instance, is it Roy Williams?
Roy Williams.
Roy Williams is my son-in-law's favorite basketball coach. And he happened to be one of the honorees, the one of the years that we were there. Well, Pat's a lot more quiet, I guess, than I would be at something like that. And I saw you and Josh getting your picture taken with him. And I was like, oh, no. Pat's the one that likes him. Yeah. So I just hollered for him, just to make sure Pat was able to get his picture taken with him.
Yeah.
I'll, if it's a sports guy and I want to talk to him, I figure I've got one chance and I'm going to do it.
Right. Absolutely. And I've had some of the coolest experiences and some of the coolest things I think about coaches that are so great are, I'm going to just use the example of Tom Izzo at Michigan State. It was funny. I had talked to him for, then everybody's pulling at him, trying to get him to talk, but we had talked for about, I would say almost 2 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but 2 minutes is a long time to get to know somebody. And it was really funny. But like the next following year, he called me by name. He remembered who I was for someone that he had met 2 minutes, and he, interacts with all these players and recruits and fans and media and all that. And I just thought that was really cool for someone like that to take out their time. And, we talked basketball, but we also talked a couple other little things here and there, but such a great experience.
My all-time favorite memory of the gala is one that I was not even there for.
Oh, right.
And I was watching Shelley. Landry wasn't born, but I was watching Harper and Palmer happened to be 3 months old. And you and Shelley were there, and Jana and Pat, were there. Well, John Gruden was there, and he's my by far all-time favorite person ever. And my phone rang, and it was Shelley, and I thought she was calling to check on Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I know, she's like, hold on, and he's on the phone and telling me, thanks for being my friend. I don't really have many. And I plopped Palmer on the floor and was like, I don't care if she cries right now or not. I'm talking to John Gruden.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
So.
And he was very gracious about it, and he was awesome. And you've actually met him up in the Monday Night Football booth too, as well, when he did that. So very cool.
Wore his ring.
Oh yeah. You wore a Super Bowl ring?
Yep.
Absolutely. Very cool. And you jump in or tell me if you agree or disagree with this, but for me, I think the coolest game that I've ever been at was actually a Cavaliers-Knicks game, which doesn't sound like much, but it was the first game of the 2017 season, 16-17 season, and right across the street, World Series Game 1, Indians Cubs. Indians win that game, but it was also the banner raising for the Cavs, and for me, that to me is, being at an event, that was the peak moment of probably my sports fandom.
That was mine too. I think listening to LeBron talk about the prior year and what was happening across the street, which was the Super Bowl going on,
World Series.
I mean,
it's okay.
You know what I mean. And then raising that banner, it sounds corny, I guess, but I got chills.
Yeah.
It was just fabulous.
And something that no one in Cleveland, only 20,000 people in Cleveland have ever experienced in the past 52 years or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool that we were able to share that. And that's something I will never forget, the rest of my life. Okay. So let me ask you, we know we've already heard some names and stuff, but some of your favorite athletes and coaches of all time.
Okay. Well, John Gruden.
John Gruden.
By far, number
Still
one.
Current?
Oh, please. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Any other coaches?
Coaches. Yeah. Sometimes I like teams because of their coach.
Yeah.
It's really weird that I do that, but a lot of people are going to disagree with me. If it wasn't for liking Cleveland, I like Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I like Bill Belichick. I think he's an awesome coach. I love watching him on the sidelines. And I mean, what he's done in however many years he's been there, I think is fantastic. I like Jack Del Rio. I have no idea why.
Okay.
But I like him. Coaches off the top of my head.
That's all right. Yeah.
Think of too many more.
No, the Jack Del Rio is an obscure one. That's interesting.
I like him.
How about favorite athletes? We know Mahomes.
I still love LeBron.
I feel like
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Like next Monday night.
Yeah.
They're playing against Baltimore, and those two quarterbacks together, it's going to be pretty fabulous.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think I get a text every night from you about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Buckets.
I just can't even believe this kid.
Yeah.
He is awesome. And they're playing Boston, who normally I would, if the Cavs were out, I'd be rooting for Boston to win. Right. But man, I'm just rooting for Jimmy Butler.
You became a Miami fan this year?
It's just, I've become a Jimmy Butler huge fan.
Yeah.
I mean, he is great. And you see him on the sidelines, and I showed Shelley a clip of him, and something that came up on Twitter that somebody read his mouth, and did the lip reading, and it was pretty awesome.
Right.
But when I showed it to Shelly, she's like, "Why is he so mad?" I'm
I
like,
know.
He's not mad.
No.
He's
just intense. He's as intense as it gets, and I think that's why some people do not like him that root against
I
Miami
love
or
people
whatever
like
team he might be on. But I think that's a reason you absolutely love
Yeah.
having that guy on your team.
he's kind of a badass.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's a badass. That's a perfect
Yeah.
word to describe him.
Yeah.
And so we got Mahomes, we got Jimmy Butler. Any other athletes off the top of your head?
Manning. I mean, Manning's retired now,
Yeah.
and Favre, and
How about baseball
Aaron
players?
Rodgers
Do you have any favorite?
I mean, most of my favorite baseball players are past Indians.
Yeah,
Omar,
yeah.
Tomey, Victor Martinez, Manny.
Mm-hmm. No, that's
Trying to think of who else.
it's all right.
That's
But I cut you off. You
No,
had
you're
mentioned
good.
Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Peyton Manning, I think, is a little underrated based on his. He's pretty funny. He's pretty
hilarious.
funny. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen him on SNL or a couple other
And I
commercials.
watched during the pandemic when there was no sports, and then finally there was going to be Tiger and Phil
Mhm.
and Manning and Brady.
Oh yeah.
And I watched it for 5 hours. It was like, this is the only sports I'm going to get. I'm watching all of it.
Absolutely.
And I like to see people that were such competitors while they were playing, but are so close
Mhm.
off the field. I like that a lot.
It's cool to see them in a sport too that isn't their thing,
Mhm.
and kind of like talking trash to each other
Yeah.
a little bit too.
Yeah.
I think that's cool to see behind the scenes.
I think Manning's a better trash talker than Brady.
I would agree with you
Yeah.
on that. I totally agree. Have you been watching any baseball?
I started watching baseball when it first came back.
Yeah.
And once the playoffs start, then I'll be full into watching baseball.
Which is
again.
basically next week.
I know.
It's coming fast.
But I mean, there's so much right now. First of all, I mean, there was nothing.
Right.
And now it's like, oh my gosh.
You got everything.
can't
Right
get
now
enough.
you have football, baseball, basketball, hockey. First time that's ever happened in the history of all these professional leagues
Now,
at the
hockey
same
I
time.
would watch,
Yeah.
but I'm not a hockey fan. I think it'd probably be cool to go to a hockey game in
Yes.
person, but I can't say that I watch.
That's how
hockey.
I am.
I'll watch golf, and
right.
people think golf's boring. I
Right.
love it.
Yeah.
I watch golf any tournament I can.
Oh, absolutely. Did you watch the U.S. Open?
Mhm.
So what'd you think about Bryson DeChambeau?
I liked him.
Yeah. He's a
Yeah.
big dude. He's a big
he is
dude.
big. And they showed clips of him from prior years where he's gotten a lot bigger over the years.
Yes.
But that kid, rookie,
Mhm.
20-something, can't remember what his name was.
Matthew Wolf.
Yeah, that was in the lead for so long,
Yeah.
and then it was like he was even.
Right.
It's like he lost 6 strokes in 18 holes. It was
That
crazy.
course, though, they were saying experts, writers on that. I think the first day, Thursday, was the easiest day because a lot of people shot under par. But once the weather kind of changed and the rough was still super long and things like that, they were not expecting anyone to shoot under par. So DeChambeau shot 3 under the final round, 67, and he finished 6 under.
Yeah,
and then
'cause
Matthew
he was in
Wolf
second on the last day, and then
and then Wolf finished even par. So they were the only two to shoot even or under. And wow, I believe there's 144 players in the field. The rest shot over. And a little interesting note, DeChambeau joined Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus as the only players to win a U.S. Open title, U.S. Amateur title, and an NCAA Division I individual title. So I thought that was kind of a cool little sports information. But going to hockey, this is not a hockey podcast, but I like to at least give some updates. So they are in the NHL finals right now, which is I believe they're playing in Edmonton, Alberta in Canada, and they had like another site in Toronto. But Tampa Bay won last night, and they tied the series out 1 game apiece. Game 3 is Wednesday. So there's your hockey news.
There
So
you
I can
go.
say I reported
There
it,
you
but I do root for the Blue Jackets during the season, and I watched that one game and I felt bad. I felt like I jinxed them because just some of our friends were texting in a group, and they had mentioned, hey, did you see the Blue Jackets are in with the Tampa Bay Lightning? They're in the third overtime. So I checked it out, and then I watched the third overtime, fourth overtime, fifth overtime, and sixth overtime. And unfortunately, they ended up lost. But that was unbelievable to watch. All right, let's switch to the NBA.
All right.
So let's talk first, because we got this game tonight. We got Lakers and the Nuggets. So you got LeBron against LeBron and AD versus, the Nuggets, who have been really the surprise team of the playoffs.
They have been. They've been great to watch.
Like Jamal Murray, Jokic.
I think both series went to 7 games.
Both series have gone to, and actually every series they played in the last 2 years have gone to 7 games, which is pretty amazing.
I think they've met their match with the Lakers for sure.
Yeah.
And I would like to see them win a game or two. I don't know if they will. And I think Sunday night was probably their chance to win one, and it got kind of stolen from them at the end. But yeah, they've been pretty impressive.
No doubt. Yeah, if you have not seen how game 2 ended, Anthony Davis hits a buzzer beater, I believe, with about 2 seconds left. But him being 7 foot tall, he's probably about the only player that gets that shot off. Like Jokic had literally about 2 inches from blocking that shot.
Yeah.
But got it at the buzzer. So game 3 is tonight. Lakers are a 6.5 point favorite. Who do you think's winning tonight?
I think the Lakers are
Lakers. Do you have a score prediction?
Okay, let me say 104-98.
104. Oh, so you got Denver covering and the Lakers winning. Okay. All right. Very good. We'll see how that stands up.
All right.
And then tomorrow night, back to your series you're big involved in. You have the Heat and the Celtics. The Heat are up 2-1. Game 4 is Wednesday, and the Celtics are actually favored in that game by 3. What do you think about that game?
Honestly, I think Miami's going to win.
Your score prediction on that one?
Sure. Let's see. I don't think that one will be as high. Let's say 94-91.
94-91 Miami. So that we got that game as a push on the Vegas lines. Okay, so let's just you're pretty much, you want a Lakers Heat series, it sounds like.
Yeah, I would have never said that. I would have thought Lakers Boston until I started watching the playoffs.
All right.
And
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, because that creates a storyline of like LeBron versus one of his former teams, Spoelstra in Miami, the coach, and that makes for
what's the guy? Crowder.
Oh yeah.
Crowder.
Yeah.
Chowder.
Yeah. Well, who was former teammate with the Cavs for a little while, for about 3 months. Okay. So we'll see what happens there. So you got the Lakers beating Denver tonight, 104-98, and you got Miami beating Boston tomorrow, 94-91. So we'll see how those go.
See how it goes.
All right, let's go to the NFL now, and let's go to week 2 storylines. So week 2 was
injury.
Exactly. Week 2 was a really, really bad week for a lot of players. I believe there were 7 ACL tears.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which,
Nick
is...
Bosa.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I feel bad about that.
So, you got... We'll get to the 49ers in a minute, but Saquon Barkley, that was a big one. And the Giants are really not a good team with him.
Right.
They're just going to be a really, really bad team without him.
That's too bad.
So Saquon tore his ACL. On the Giants field, they played the Jets, and the Jets are just god-awful. They're terrible. But the 49ers left that game complaining about the field because they had a lot of guys go down with injuries. Nick Bosa tore his ACL. Solomon Thomas, also one of their major defensive line, also tore an ACL. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt in that game. He's out at least this week.
Weeks. Yeah,
maybe going for a couple weeks going forward. They lost, and I don't know his injury status, but Raheem Mostert, their running back. They've already been without Deebo Samuel, their top wide receiver, George Kittle, their top tight end. So a lot of people say the team that usually loses a Super Bowl usually has like kind of a not a curse, but like a bad luck streak. Philadelphia made the playoffs a few years ago after they lost, but the 49ers just feel like kind of like this year's bad luck team.
I heard a lot of it's because there was no preseason and not a lot of off-season time.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge, I'll watch any NFL game, just not a huge preseason person at all. But, you know, I guess if that's the case, then it probably is good to have some preseason games to let them, their bodies.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you got to get
doing.
used to taking a hit and being in what they say, you know, like football shape.
Right.
Denver also had a couple bad injury losses. They put up a pretty good fight against Pittsburgh, not having, they lost Drew Lock in that game. He's out for at least a month. And they lost their top wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, with another torn ACL. And Von Miller is out for the year already. So the Broncos, who a lot of people had as a surprise team, are probably in some trouble this year.
And they both had a lot of money losses this weekend.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
Because the coaches both got, it's funny, both those coaches got fined for not wearing their masks. So I know they personally have to pay, but then the team has to pay as well.
What I think it is, so those two, what the 49ers, was it the 49ers? So Shanahan and
Denver and Pete Carroll.
And Pete Carroll in Seattle. So I believe the coaches are fined $100,000 and the team is fined $250,000. So
so does that all go to a charitable?
From what I understand, any fines brought in go to NFL charities.
That's fine then.
So,
you know,
that's still a lot of money.
But if it's going to
just for taking
good,
down your mask or whatever. And I think John Gruden's going to end up getting fined because I saw him a lot last night not wearing a mask.
I told him I wanted to see his face a lot, so take off the mask.
Just a couple other more injury news. Unfortunately for the Colts, who are two Ohio State Buckeyes, went down. Malik Hooker torn Achilles, and Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell looks to be probably okay and will be back, but Malik Hooker is going to be out for the year. And Malik Hooker is actually from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. But both of those guys, Buckeyes, are out for a little while. Christian McCaffrey, another injury. Probably the best running back in the league. So you probably arguably had your top two running backs in the league go out this week. McCaffrey's going to be out at least a month with a high ankle sprain. A couple other injury news, like Tyrod Taylor. I think Vegas didn't even know about this because they didn't change the spread or anything, but Tyrod Taylor got pulled from that game right before they sent him to the hospital with some sort of chest injury. They put in the rookie from Oregon, Justin Herbert, gets his first start.
Good.
Yeah, and they took the Chiefs to overtime.
Yeah.
And
I'll bet you he is their starter then, even if Tyrod Taylor
the head
back.
coach did say he's going to stick with Tyrod Taylor, but Tyrod Taylor's about the most average quarterback in the league. Like, he doesn't do anything great. He doesn't really kill you. He doesn't really help you. He just kind of is there, and hopefully for them. But everyone in the league loves Tyrod Taylor from what I understand. So that's why he sticks around. But to me, he's just a really good backup quarterback. But I agree. I think they should probably start, like, what do you got to lose? You know?
I know.
What do you got to lose? Another interesting game from over the weekend. The Cowboys come back down 20-0, and they were down 15, I believe, in the fourth quarter to beat the Falcons. If you did not see that onside kick, I would recommend.
They just stood around and watched.
Right. Well, and then like the opposing team has the biggest advantage of they can actually touch the ball whenever.
Right.
So, I know the ball was spinning like a top and it was crazy, but you kick it out of bounds.
But wouldn't you have been coached up before that saying they're going to onside kick it? I mean, at least, reiterate what the rules are for you to touch that ball. You would think.
Yeah. And so, but unbelievable onside kick. And I think teams going forward will probably just jump on that ball or knock it out of bounds because especially with the NFL safety rules now, you don't see teams recovering onside kicks too much. And then last night, if you didn't see the new Vegas stadium, I believe it's called Allegiant Stadium.
It is.
Unbelievable. I believe it cost roughly about $2 billion. And we actually watched a little thing. I was just curious. I'm like, I need to know a little bit more backstory on this. So we watched how all these wiring things are done behind the scenes to make it like the most cell phone friendly stadium. And then they actually grow. It's an indoor stadium. I believe the roof retracts, but it has natural grass. So we watched a little documentary. It was only 10 minutes, but on how they grow this Bermuda grass. And it's a specific blend called Bermuda 419, which that grass obviously has a little different vibe than the Bermuda 420, but but the Bermuda 419 is the grass that's grown on that field. And it was just cool, but like they tug on it, they pull it, and it doesn't rip. It's just weird. It doesn't even look like it's real. But that's pretty much all I got for the NFL in week 2. Last week, me and a couple buddies picked the game, so you know all these guys. Greg Kirchner won the week at a 10-6, and he called Vegas to beat New Orleans straight up last night, which was pretty impressive. I finished last week at 9-7. And I'm sitting at 17-14-1 on the year. Dave Hodge finished 7-9 on the week, and Edgar Easy E in the basement 5-11. So
that's okay.
That's all right. I mean, everybody's got a bad week. He's gonna bounce back. I'd like to have them on the show again. They can make some more picks. So you want to pick some games for this weekend?
Give it my shot. Best shot.
So we have about 10 minutes left. So we're gonna go through as many of these games as possible, and then we'll just finish up with a few other notes. So start with this Thursday, September 24th. Oh, and by the way, we got a few people checking in and saying hi. Paul Danish on Facebook. Okay. Tanya says hi.
Tanya.
Looks like you got Julie from West Virginia checking in.
Oh, hi, Julie.
So you got your fans out there.
There you go.
All right. So this Thursday, September 24th, you have Miami at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is actually a 2.5-point favorite. Who do you got in that game?
Yeah, I'd take Jacksonville.
All right. I'm going to go with Miami in that game.
Okay.
All right. Chicago, the Bears at Atlanta. Atlanta is a 2.5-point favorite.
I'll take Chicago.
Okay. I'm going to go Atlanta. I don't know why. I still don't trust the Bears. I think they're a bad 2-0 team.
I don't even know why. I do not like Atlanta.
The LA Rams at Buffalo. This is an interesting game. This is a good game.
What's the line?
Oh, I'm sorry. Buffalo is 2.5-point favorites.
Okay. At LA?
No, it's in Buffalo.
Oh, in Buffalo. I'll take Buffalo.
All right. We're both going to take Buffalo in that game. The Washington football team at our Cleveland Browns. The Browns are laying 6.5-point favorite. So they're 6.5-point favorites in that game.
I'll always take the Browns.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Browns as well, but I think Washington is still not a very good football team. I think 6.5 is a lot of points for the Browns to be getting, but
sorry, Julie.
Yeah, but you know,
Julie likes the Washington football team and Scotty.
Okay. But Washington, I will say their defensive line's really good, really good. Tennessee's the favorite in this game by 1.5 at Minnesota.
I'll take Minnesota.
All right, I'm gonna go Tennessee because I think Minnesota, this is just not their year. All right, we got Vegas at New England. So at the Belichick's, New England is 6.5-point favorites.
Yeah, at New England.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll take New England.
All right.
I have to go against
Cam Newton
Gruden,
and Belichick.
Yeah,
against Gruden, but you know that's all right.
Okay.
That's okay. So now we have the 49ers at the Giants. So they're playing in that same stadium as last week.
Mm-hmm. I'll still take what's the line?
I'm sorry, 4.5. 49ers are laying 4.5.
4.5. I'll take the 49ers.
I'm taking the Niners too. I just think both New York teams are really, really bad. Cincinnati at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is 6.5-point favorites.
I'll take Cincinnati.
We're both going to agree on that. Cincinnati, I like Burrow, what he's done in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is probably due for a bounce back, but they just don't look good. Houston is actually nope. They are Pittsburgh's favored in this game by 5.5. So Houston at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 5.5.
I don't like to take Pittsburgh, but I'm going to.
Okay. I am going to take Houston because I think Houston has had the toughest schedule so far. They played Baltimore and they played Kansas City. So I think Houston is going to take care of business this week. The Jets at the Colts. The Colts are 9.5-point favorites.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. But the Jets are really bad.
Know. It's easier picking college games. I don't know why. I'll take the Jets.
All right.
I think they'll lose but not by that much.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with the Colts just because I don't like even laying the Jets getting that many points. So I'm going to take Indianapolis winning by 10 or more. Carolina at the Chargers, LA Chargers. So Carolina at the Chargers. Chargers are 6.5-point favorites.
I'll take the Chargers.
Okay. We're going to agree on that one. Tampa Bay. So Tom Brady heading out to Denver. So Tampa Bay at Denver. Denver is an underdog. Denver's 5.5-point underdog.
Yeah, I'll take Brady.
Brady?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you just based on all their injuries. Detroit at Arizona. Arizona is 5.5-point favorites.
Arizona for sure.
So agree there too. Dallas at Seattle. Dallas at Seattle. Seattle is a 4.5-point favorite.
Dallas at Seattle. Seattle for sure.
Okay. I'm going to agree as well. Dallas got really lucky.
Yeah.
And now I will say they fought that whole game, and Dak seems to be a pretty good quarterback, but I think Russell Wilson this is his year. He's going to win the MVP. Green Bay at New Orleans. This is a really good game. New Orleans is the home team, and they are favored by 3.5.
3.5. I'm going to pick Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. We're going to disagree on that one. All I'm going to go New Orleans. I just think they're due for a bounce back. Aaron Rodgers has been really, really good this year.
Yeah, he is good.
I heard someone even say last week they drafted Jordan Love just to piss Aaron Rodgers off so he'd play harder.
Yeah, I think he does too.
So I agree. And then the game of the year so far, probably the two best teams, not just in the AFC, but in all of football.
Yeah.
You got the Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions, against the reigning MVP, Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens. Baltimore is favored by 2.5.
No. Kansas City.
You're going Kansas City?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, this is the toughest game for me.
But has anyone been watching Patrick Mahomes?
I agree.
He's pretty awesome.
I think Kansas City is going to win, but I don't know. You know what? I'm just going with Baltimore. I don't know why. I don't really have a good reason, but I just think they're the team to beat this year. So I'm going to go with Baltimore. So those are our 16 games this year. We'll check in on those. Just a couple more questions. We got about 3 or 4 more minutes.
All right.
So I'm gonna give you the 2-0 teams, and out of those teams, I want you to tell me, pick one of those teams that you think are just out of the playoffs,
Shouldn't
overrated.
Be 2-0?
Yeah.
Okay.
So contender or pretender.
All right.
Type thing. So I'm gonna just list them off real quick: Arizona, Baltimore, Green Bay, Kansas City, Tennessee, Buffalo, the LA Rams, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Seattle, Vegas are the teams that are 2-0. Out of those teams, which one do you have as like a pretender?
Buffalo, Tennessee. Do
you want to hear them again?
you say the Rams?
Yep.
The Rams.
Okay. All right. That's good. I just asked for one.
Okay.
So that's even better. And the 1-1 teams. So out of these teams, give me a team that you say 100% is going to the playoffs.
Okay.
Washington, New England, Dallas, Jacksonville, the Chargers, the Browns, the 49ers, the Colts, and the Saints. Or you can pick more than one if you want.
I'll pick 2.
Okay.
Then. I'll say the Saints and New England.
Saints and New England. Okay. And then out of these 0-2 teams, teams that usually start 0-2 tend to be about 12% end up making the playoffs, which is about 1 out of every 8. So out of these 0-2 teams, give me one that you think will make the playoffs. The Giants, the Vikings, the Jets, the Broncos, the Lions, the Falcons, the Texans, Carolina, Miami, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia.
Oh, boy. That's a harder one.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
You want to hear them again?
No. I'm going to say a team that I don't really care for, but I think they've got a great quarterback. I'll say Atlanta.
Okay. That's a good pick. That's a tough division, but I think that's a good pick. I think both New York teams, no way, no shot. Denver now, no shot. Detroit, to me, I think was going to be my sleeper team. So we'll see how they do.
They just always
I know.
in the gutter. I don't know why, because they have a good quarterback. They just can never get over the hurdle.
No doubt. All right, so just a couple more things. NCAA football, I just want to run through a couple little interesting tidbits. So through 3 weeks, or technically there's a week 0, which, you know, but through 3 weeks, there were 61 games scheduled. 13 of those games, which is 21%, have been postponed or canceled. Because of COVID-related issues.
No, because of hurricanes or anything? Or
not that I believe, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But so, you know, you roughly have an 80-20 split of games played versus games canceled. And that's without the SEC or Big Ten or even possibly Pac-12 playing yet. So we'll see how that's going to affect these other teams going forward. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's rough.
But Florida State, their head coach recently just tested positive for COVID. So we'll see how that affects them going forward. And then the Big Ten dropped their schedule. Our guest on Thursday and I are going to go through the Big Ten schedule, mostly the Buckeyes schedule with what we predict for them.
Start off with Nebraska?
They start off at home with Nebraska.
Okay,
yeah.
I did hear that.
I feel like the Big Ten sort of punished Nebraska for being outspoken. Their first 4 games are pretty brutal. And they sort of are.
At least they're playing.
Exactly.
And that's what they want to do.
Exactly. They're playing. They're out there. They weren't expected to compete for a title or anything, but they're playing. And Ohio State, we'll get into them on Thursday, but their schedule is pretty favorable. So we'll talk more about that later. Deion Sanders, I thought this was cool. I just read this morning. He was named the new head football coach at Jackson State. So pretty interesting. One of my favorite athletes growing up as a kid, Deion Sanders. But just thought that was kind of a cool thing. So we're going to wrap up here in a minute, but I just wanted to, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
obviously, you're, you know, not just a guest, you're a little bit more special than that to me.
We forgot to say we went to March Madness too.
Oh, yeah. March Madness in Columbus. And
that was a blast.
And
I loved
hopefully we can get doing that again.
Yeah.
So we'll have you back on and you can make some March Madness picks and we'll talk about that. Fun. So again, Jenny Kennedy, founder of Project MKC. Please check out the website, projectmkc.org. Feel free to call into the office if you'd like to make a donation or anything like that, 330-758-3434. Or just check out, like I said, online, see what kind of awesome projects we have going on and what you can do to help. So with that said, I always like to end the show with a quote. And obviously we had a tragic loss last weekend with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and you know, my mom being very important to me, and you know, I'm pretty much surrounded by women everywhere I go in life, but you know, I just think it's really important to empower women, and I just thought this quote was awesome. She says, "Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you." So I thought that would be a good quote to end on today. Thank you again for coming on. And we'll have you on again. And on behalf of Youngstown Studios and Joe Danier, my name's Justin Coffin. We'll see you on Thursday. Have a great day.